Hello, hello. Welcome
Hello.
to there we go. Welcome to my Friday night show. I didn't do one last week, and thank you to those of you that noticed. That was really kind. This week I'm back. I have Steven Healey here with me tonight, who some of you will know, and I've had as a guest on here with me before. We have tonight absolutely no agenda whatsoever, purely because neither of us really have anything particularly to talk about. So we're just going to go with the flow, see how it goes, obviously get involved, ask us any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Obviously, a big welcome to all of you that are watching now, and also a welcome to anyone that's watching this on replay. It's great to have you along. And if you are watching this, and even if you are watching it on replay, please, if you can, remember to share. That would be great, because it just means that obviously we can reach a wider audience, which is fantastic. So without further ado, as I said, I have Steven Healey with me today, and I am going to get the technology working. One of these days, Steven, I'm going to be really smooth at this. Here we go. Hey!
Right, okay, we're both on screen.
We're here now.
You know that the guest experience has changed now, and I say hello to the two people watching us. And if you, as Anne-Marie said earlier, if you want to share this, then we're forever grateful. And if you want to make a comment, we'll know who you are, because otherwise you remain anonymous, and we like to know who we're talking to. Hello.
Exactly. So, we haven't seen each other for a little while. That sounded wrong, didn't it, Stephen?
Well, because we only live about 15 miles from each other.
Yeah, we haven't. Our paths haven't crossed for a little while, but obviously we still keep in touch in the virtual world here. So I guess I was going to ask you, obviously the live, as you just alluded to, the live broadcasting experience has changed. Be Live have changed their format a little bit. You can now have more people on screen, etc., etc. I was just going to get a bit of feedback from you, really, as to how that's going, whether that's a positive thing, whether there's any more changes afoot, what's kind of going on from your perspective in the sort of live broadcasting world.
Well, I mean, the situation is that things are forever changing with BeLive.tv, but hello, Mark, the 4 seats has made a deal of difference. I mean, I do a show, I've been doing it for 117 weeks, which is called Blubbing for Britain. And that's 4 geezers from the UK talking about everything that happens in the UK. And for months, I've had to sit there hosting the show and trying to fit 4 people into 3 seats. Now I can just set it and forget it. You've got 4 people on screen, and it just works beautifully. And it's made a difference to other shows as well. I've seen lots of people who brought more people in, and it adds to the experience. And the fact that it works in a Chrome browser and it doesn't crash your PC is totally amazing. The other thing we've got is scrolling lower thirds.
Oh, I have no idea what that is. That sounds...
Right, okay, well, let's turn this. If you go to your agenda.
Okay, I have, yes.
And at the bottom, you'll now see an orange option.
Yep.
Okay.
I've got call to action and a plus button.
Right, and then underneath, have you got anything under that?
I've got
call to action. Yeah,
okay, cool.
On the call to action, press the plus button on a call to action.
Add call to action.
Right, okay, and just type in welcome to the show.
Okay. Welcome. Sorry, you're going to wobble a bit.
That's okay. I'm trying to keep still.
It's my computer because it's on one of those stand things. So
okay.
Add call to action.
Yeah, and now show it.
Oh, hang on. How do I show it then?
Is it button on?
Oh, look at that.
Snazzy, isn't it?
Oh, that's a bit whizzy.
Yeah, and it just keeps going round and round and round.
That could get quite annoying after a while, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, you don't want to leave it on all the time, otherwise, But it is.
I didn't know that did that. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's useful on the Blubbing from Britain show, which we talk about the UK news and everything that's going on. Then it means that I can hop over to the BBC website whilst we're live and actually take a headline from the BBC site, and it's a ticker along the bottom. It's like being a real news show.
I know.
It's brilliant.
You know what? We could make anything up and put it on the bottom there, and people would believe us, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because we're in a news show.
Exactly. We could have a lot of fun with that. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So,
one thing I was going to say is I did catch one of your I don't very often catch your Blabbing for Britain shows because they're on 10 o'clock in the morning, isn't it, I think, or
that's
something?
right, yeah, very early.
And I'm not usually online at that point in time, but I did catch one once, and I remember you were having a very bizarre conversation about beards or something, was it?
Yes.
It had gone from a very serious conversation to a conversation about shaving, and I just remember thinking, this is the weirdest thing I've ever watched.
Well, we talk about anything and everything, and John, John's has a beard, and we keep ribbing him about keeping it tidy and shaving it off, but he cannot shave it off.
Okay.
Because his wife would not recognise him, and she says no. He's had a beard since they got married, and sorry.
Put that at the bottom as well, so we could do a bit of a public service broadcast.
Thank you, Mark. That's the best stuff of the evening. And Easter Road Fish and Chip Shop will be open at 8 o'clock, I am sure.
They will be there waiting for you with your fish ready to go.
Oh, yeah, indeed, as soon as we walk through the door. That's totally put me off.
John and his beard.
John and his beard, yeah, he can't shave it off. His wife will not let him, so his beard's got to stay. But the thing about a chat show, I mean, like the show we're doing now, is that there is no agenda, and it's just talking about things that interest you. And if anybody's watching now and wants to put a question in, either about the wonderful area we live in, which is Wiltshire in England, which is close to Stonehenge and Avebury and Salisbury, then we can talk about that. If anyone got a question about live broadcasting, we can talk about that.
We can. I think one thing we haven't talked about that we really should talk about, that you are not allowed to talk about on any other show. So you are very lucky that you can come on my show and talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Cricket.
Indeed. And, when the team left Australia to go to New Zealand, we had no idea what was going to happen. But they won.
They won.
They won the series.
They did. I think our one-day side are very, very good. I think I was dubious about Ben Stokes coming back, I have to say, but I think he's done incredibly well. And I think our one-day side is pretty solid. Test side, there's still some batting issues there. And the 2020 side, I think that's such a shame because we had a couple of years ago, the last World Cup, we should have won the 2020 World Cup.
I agree.
We didn't. And now the 2020 team seems to have gone a little bit backwards.
Well, all teams sort of, it's a cycle, isn't it? They reach a peak, they stay at the peak for a while, and then they just seem to drop off all of a sudden. That's something we can talk about. But yeah, I mean, we got quite possibly the best cricket teams in the world. I'll say that. And I just enjoy watching cricket. Always have. We have in the UK a cricket league called the Lancashire League, and the Lancashire League is up in Lancashire. Well, that's obvious, isn't it? And when I was living up in the Burnley area, I was secretary of Nelson Cricket Club.
Okay.
And Nelson Cricket Club, the way that it works is that each club, each season has one pro, and the pro is an overseas test cricketer.
Oh, right, okay.
And you pay them, for the season, and they
Yeah.
find other employment in the town, either helping the news out or whatever. And I remember one year that we engaged Safraz Nawaz.
Oh, wow.
And he went on to become one of the greatest cricketers that we've seen. But this was a young man in his 20s, learning his trade, and he'd come to Nelson to play cricket. And the chairman said to me, right, will you go and pick him up from Manchester Airport? So I set off, got to Manchester Airport all right, and recognised him, picked him up, we had a conversation, got in the car, and then I set off down the M61 to head for home. But I ended up in Bolton, which wasn't quite the right way to go. So I gave him a grand. I gave him a grand tour of Lancashire, and we eventually got to Nelson. He was none the wiser.
No.
I got a story to tell.
I'm just giving you a guided tour. Obviously, I need you to see these sites because it's
you've got to go over the moors to get to Nelson.
Yep. Oh, bless him.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't suffer from it. As I say, he went on to be one of the world's best cricketers. But I mean, that was the era just after Charlie Griffiths, and all the West Indians used to come over here. Wes Hall, Charlie Griffiths, all played in the Lancashire League. And we can go further back than that and say Leary Constantine. So a whole range of great cricketers have actually played in the Lancashire League, gone on to play for the county.
Yeah.
Because Safraz went to Northants.
Okay.
Northants, he went to the national team.
Yeah.
And, it's a great training ground. Our UK amateur league is a great training ground for cricketers from around the world. I mean, the Australians will come and play in the Lancashire League before they join a county, or they're due to tour over here. So they come and play a season, which is absolutely brilliant. And we'll say hello to Alfredo, who's joined us.
Yeah, I've just seen that. I'm going to pop him on. Well, not pop him on screen. I'm going to put his thing in. But I'm busy fiddling about with the new thing that you've shown. So I'm just going to.
Are you going to put a call to action?
I am. I'm going to make something. Oh, it went a bit quick. Oh, there we go.
Right. Okay. They're working on this. The first time it just whizzes by, and then it will come, and you can read it the second time.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
They are working on it.
Oh, look at that. There you go. Pop your. Right. There, I'm well impressed. And we can say hi to Alfredo, who is in California, it would appear.
Indeed, and a good friend. Now, the top. True.
It's the simplest things. It's the littlest that make us happy.
The top left-hand corner of the agenda, you should have a save button.
I've got a delete button.
Oh.
Top left-hand corner, I've got delete.
All right. Okay.
Outside of that, oh no. Oh, I don't know. No, I haven't got save.
Right. Okay. We'll go through that. Right. Okay. That's working. That's good.
I might have. It might be that I'm not in the right bit of the agenda. Anyway, I'm loving having that. Do they have a cricket team? Is that California? Are we asking? I wouldn't have thought so. Alfredo, that might be a question for you.
Well, certainly a Canadian cricket team. Anywhere that was part of the empire has a cricket team. That's one of the legacies of the empire that hasn't disappeared, really. I mean, West Indies, India, Pakistan, Australia, New Zealand.
So do you get to watch any cricket live?
No, not since I came down to Wiltshire. Yourself?
Sorry about that. Yes, we do. We try to go once a year to usually a one-day match. Normally go once, occasionally twice a year. And this year we are off to Cardiff, I believe. Oh, look, David Burrows has joined us as well.
We're definitely international now because David is in Ontario in Canada.
Yeah, we were just talking about Canada. Well,
we were
talking about Canada
because we're talking about cricket.
We are. I think that's it. Our viewers are now going to sort of scuttle away, I think. Alfred says there is a California Cricket Association.
Right.
Okay.
See, yeah, it's like baseball, only it's better. I mean, trying to explain to anybody how a game can last 5 days is pretty difficult, isn't it?
It is, and I think to be fair, Test cricket can be quite tedious. I think it's better than it was in the sort of the olden days, way back when they just sort of used to sort of put up shop and that was kind of it. But it can be quite tedious. But I think certainly one day in 2020 is, for me anyway, I think it's quite exciting. I do quite enjoy it, I must admit.
Well, the thing is, you get a result the same day. I mean, 2020 is similar to going to watch a soccer match or football match, as we call it in the UK.
Well, the best one, the best one we went to was a few years ago. We went to Edgbaston to see England-India game, one-day game.
Right.
And it hadn't occurred to us that obviously going somewhere like Edgbaston to see an Indian game would mean that 99% of the people that were at the game were Indian. And
Indeed.
it was quite bizarre. We were in this stand and there was us, I think there was maybe one other family and another couple, and that was it. Everybody else was Indian. And it was ever so funny because the game was going India's way. So they were all up and they were jumping around and they were, you're going down, all that kind of, sort of heckling that goes. And so we were feeling quite small because there was only like literally a little handful of us. And we were kind of sitting there going, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we won't say anything. We'll just, that's fine. And then anyway, as the game went on, it became apparent that England were actually going to make a game of it.
Okay, yeah.
It went down to the last over. It might have even been the last ball. And so all of a sudden, these Indian people started to get a little bit quieter and a little bit quieter, a little bit quieter. And then I think it was the last ball and we won. And all of a sudden, so there was us and these half a dozen other people jumping up and down going, yay! And it just went deathly quiet and all these Indians just filed out of the ground really quietly. It was the most surreal experience. But I said, that was kind of a note to self. Let's not go to an India game at Edgbaston again because that wasn't necessarily. Yeah.
I mean, you are in a minority, certainly at Edgbaston.
I can't believe it hadn't occurred to us until we got there. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, I've got a friend who's actually a member there, a chap called Roger Vanstone. And he regularly goes to the test matches and enjoys himself because there's nothing better for Roger than sitting out in the sun, watching either Warwickshire or England playing at Edgbaston.
Yeah.
And having a glass of wine before lunch, then having lunch, and then spending the afternoon sat in the sunshine watching England win. Now, that's his description of pure heaven, really.
Pure heaven. Yeah, I can relate to that. That sounds good. So I guess, obviously, we ought to move on from cricket, just in case we still have any viewers that are interested in what we're talking about, just to wake them up a little bit. So another thing I was going to talk to you about is, I don't know whether you probably didn't see my show I did a little while ago, where I was talking to, I've forgotten who it was now, about my background anyway.
Okay, yep.
And my background is not really ideal. It's for broadcasting. I mean, obviously it's fine for, my day-to-day office, but it's not ideal for broadcasting. And I have been walking around the house trying to find alternative places to broadcast from that don't have so much going on. And I failed miserably. So I was kind of thinking, are there any, because I can't really do away with all the stuff I've got because I'm basically I'm in a cubby hole in the spare bedroom. so I literally have limited space to have all of my kind of work stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to say, have you got any suggestions for me, or shall I just put up with the fact that I've got a crazy background and not worry about it?
Right. You could just get a screen to go behind you, cloth screen. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything sort of mega. 2 upright poles, pole across, hang a cloth over it. That's it. And that would work because then that cuts out all the background. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you've tidied yours up now, haven't you? And you've got, is that just a chess set or something at the back there? Or is it not?
That's the chess set that I imported from Cyprus. Yes.
Ah, okay. Because you used to have a bookshelf, didn't you?
It's still there, but it's on either side.
Oh, okay. So have you moved, or was the bookshelf moved?
I've moved.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Go on.
Yeah. No, I've moved. I mean, let's see, who is it? Yeah. You know when your mind goes blank when it's sort of nearly 7:30 on a Friday night and you want to switch off? Just a minute. The name Leland Best. Leland Best is a good friend. He's based in USA, and what he does is exactly what I've described. Is he's got a backdrop which is a green screen,
Yeah.
and basically because it's green, he can then do a lot of tricks in getting a background.
Yeah.
You know, so you can either have a plain background or you could have a picture background. So I know some other friends, this is a true story. Some other friends wanted to look as though they were broadcasting from New York. Yeah?
Okay.
So they decorated the room they were in, and they put the skyline of New York along the wall, like I nearly said mural then. So after Coronation Street, like a mural.
Yeah.
And they broadcast from New York quite a lot. And
was that effective? Did it look like New York, or was it?
It was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But you knew your mind actually saw it as being New York.
Yeah.
But your thoughts said that's not real.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it's just a question of experimenting. And as I say, what most people do is just put a screen behind you, which blocks out around you, really.
I think I'm going to have to look for something like that. And obviously Alfredo, I've popped his comment up there. He only has a corner, and he always shows his kitchen table. So it is tricky, I guess, because we don't all have the perfect location for the perfect studio. Obviously, when we're broadcasting, we want to look professional. But obviously we don't always have the facilities or the place to do that. So I guess it is about trying to maximize what you've got to make it look as good as you possibly can.
Yeah. But I mean, to be totally honest, there is nothing wrong with the backdrop you've got at the moment. It works because your center screen and what's around you, people are trying to read the book titles. It's got to be good.
Yeah. I mean, I spent ages looking because I was thinking, can I move? Because obviously that's a bookshelf there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, can I move that down and then just have my books on it, so it's like a sort of blatant promotional thing? But it just wouldn't work. The space that I've got, it just there just isn't anywhere else for it to go. And I spent ages the other week going around in the kitchen and moving my lamps around, and I did broadcast. I don't know if it was the last one or the one before. I did broadcast from the kitchen actually, and I did it in front of the curtains, and that was great because it meant that there was nothing, nothing busy going on behind me. But somebody commented to me afterwards that it looked like I was sat in a photo booth.
Well,
that's not really the look I was going for.
Yeah, I did watch. I watched a part of that video.
Yeah.
No, what you have at the moment it does work. I mean, it's not. First of all, I've got to say it's very tidy.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah.
These are all my character sketches. So for anybody with X-ray vision, these are all the characters that are in book 3, because I've just started writing book 3. So if you can read any of those, these are all character sketches. They've all got pictures and information about all my characters. So that's what all that is on there. So it's a bit of trivia.
No, it's brilliant. Right. I wondered how it was done.
Well, how
when you went? Okay, let's go back to the creative process. How do you actually start? First of all, how do you decide on the plot?
I just get lots of ideas. So I get ideas from all sorts of places. So it'll be listening to conversations, talking to people. Maybe something will happen that will trigger something, and then that will kind of go around and around in my head for a bit, and to the point where it'll start to germinate into something around a plot. And then it just kind of goes from there. But what I didn't used to do, which I now do, was these things. I never used to do these.
Okay.
So I used to start writing, and because I didn't have a character profile, there were so many inconsistencies. It was ridiculous. And I have no idea why I didn't do it, but I didn't do it. So after sort of doing one book and realizing that I needed to know more, I designed these sheets, which are really, really simple. It's just got things like what their name is, when they were born, what they look like physically, what their background is, you know, just a basic idea of who that person is. And then I always print a photo off from the internet of somebody that looks like how I picture them to be. Mm-hmm. So that when I'm referring to them, obviously I can look at the photo and I can think, oh yeah, they look like that. Or so that I'm not constantly having to think, oh, hang on a minute, what colour hair have they got? What colour eyes have they got? You know, what are their mannerisms and that kind of thing. So then on here, I've got so I've got 9. No, hang on. Yeah, I've got 9 character profiles on there at the moment, which is actually quite a lot. But there's quite a lot of characters in the 3rd book. So then, yeah, so it's just building on it from there. And then when you're writing, the characters kind of take on a life of their own, and you will find they go in all sorts of strange places and places that you didn't think that they would go. And that's part of the fun of it, really. And then you have to decide, okay, do I go with it or do I tell them that, no, that's not where I want them to go? But yeah, it's when it happens, it's really interesting. It's really good.
See, we would never have known that. We'd never have known that.
No. It's interesting, actually. I was, it was at the last networking meeting, actually, because you weren't there, and it's the networking meeting is going incredibly well. I hadn't been since, I don't think I've been I might have been January, but I hadn't been for a couple of months. Yeah. And I went last month, and it was so popular. There was so many people there, and I met a lady there whose son is writing a book, or had wanted to write a book, and she asked me if I'd go over and have a chat with him, which I did. And it's interesting because it's probably a bit like you with live broadcasting. To me, it's second nature. I don't think about what I do. I don't think about how I do it. To me, it's just obvious that that's what you do. But when you're talking to somebody else who obviously doesn't know and is completely new, and they're sort of like, wow, I didn't think of that. And I'm like, but that's obvious to me. And it's quite refreshing, actually, because it makes you realise how much you've learned in your particular area. Like I say, with you, with live broadcasting, over the years that I've been writing, I think, crikey, yeah, I have learnt a lot. I don't realise I have, because to me, it's just, that's what I do. But I don't know if you find the same.
I think it's very true, because we tend to pick things up from different people and different books and watching different videos, and it sort of sits with us and we get to understand it, we get to practice it, and then you get to a stage where it's second nature and you just do it without thinking.
Yeah.
And when I'm creating Udemy courses, I've got to unravel all that, and I've got to take it down to its smallest part, really. So I actually don't say dissect, but I suppose that's the clearest thing. Dissect each individual process of actually going live, and then put it back together again slowly, so that you can take somebody from never having broadcast before to actually being live on the screen. Because that's quite a journey, isn't it? I mean, you have been used to, it's amazing how far you've come since you actually did your first live broadcast. Can you think back to that?
I know. I don't. Yeah, it just sort of. Yeah, it's just kind of happened, really, hasn't it? I've been. I've been very impressed, and I've got my shows are booked up now till the end of July, I think, beginning of August.
Wow.
And I've got, Catherine Price.
Yes.
Yes.
Quite well.
Yeah, I finally managed to persuade her to come on as well. So she won't be on until August, because it's my earliest date. But she's decided she's going to be brave and come onto my show as well. So, it's been an incredible journey, and I enjoy doing it. And the people that I've connected with, I say this every week, and obviously with you're just down the road, and we have actually met. But, most people aren't. But, most people I talk to aren't in this country. And it's incredible, because you think, our paths would never have crossed if it wasn't for this, for this live media that we're able to do. And that just sort of, every time I do these shows, that just kind of really blows me away. And I think, crikey, these are people that never in a million years would I have connected with. But now you've made that connection, and there's somebody you can talk to if you want to know about X, Y, and Z, because you've spoken to them, you've had them on your show, you can drop them a message. And that's incredible. I think that, as much as anything else, the networking that I have found from it has been invaluable.
I totally agree. I mean, you're actually reaching out to people who are at the top of their game and they know what they're talking about. And you, as well as sort of chatting to them, you're actually learning. Speaking to Brigetti earlier, and she was saying that what she does after the show, because she gets so involved when you're hosting a show, because you've got to press all the buttons and keep everything and get the text along the bottom of the screen. That what she does afterwards is she actually watches the replay, because there's always going to be some part of the conversation that you've missed. And when you're chatting to somebody whose area of expertise is not your own, then it's a free lesson.
Yes.
It's a free lesson learning. And as you said, you can then take that further, keep in contact with them. And if you need somebody, you know somebody who does. And it can be anywhere around the world. I mean, through Be Live, we've reached people in Australia, people in India and Pakistan, people in the US, people in Canada, people in California. Not that California is not part of the US, so there are rumors that it might secede. It's okay, not get too political.
We won't get political.
No. We're going to talk about Salisbury for a moment, because we do live pretty close to it.
Yes, let's do that.
I think that the first thing is that the shock that it is so close to us. Just for those watching or catching the replay, there was an attempted murder attempt using nerve agents in Salisbury just about 10 days ago of a Russian national who is living in the UK, and his daughter had come to see him, and they were attacked. Now, the thing about a nerve agent is that it's not just affecting the people who are attacked. A policeman has been affected as well, and they don't know. Well, they're hoping at the moment that nobody else was affected. But this is an attack on our way of life.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we look on our armed services and our intelligence agencies and the police to protect us. And if you go to Salisbury, normally, it's probably the safest place in the UK. Yeah. I mean, you walk about the cathedral, you can walk about town, you can go walk along the river.
It's a stunning city. It's beautiful. And I think I heard something on the radio today, actually, that they were saying that they're making car parking free in Salisbury now, up until after Easter, to try and encourage people to come back into the city, because obviously what's happened, the attack, they still don't know, which is incredible. They still don't know how the nerve agent was administered. There's various different theories. The latest theory that I saw today was that the daughter had brought it over with her in a suitcase, the daughter that was visiting from Russia. But that's just one of many theories. And the danger, obviously, is, as you mentioned, is that because they don't know how it was delivered, they don't know how safe anywhere is. And obviously that's had a knock-on effect on, Salisbury itself, because people are just scared to go out and about in Salisbury now, because, they just, I think, certainly for me, a nerve agent is not something that I understand. It's not something that I've ever come across. It's not something that I was ever particularly aware of. And I guess that might be similar for, other people. And when you read about the fact that they were sort of found slumped on a bench in a shopping centre, and then the policeman that went to help them is also seriously ill, it kind of makes you think, crikey, and as you said, it's relatively close to our, on our doorstep. And
we could have been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thousands of tourists go to Salisbury every day, and I think it's good fortune that only 3 people were affected by it. And as you say, I mean, we know one of our friends was speaking to, when you go to Salisbury, you walk along the canal, you're walking into town, and you've got the supermarket, Sainsbury's supermarket on your right-hand side, then the bookstore, and then you've got Greggs, and then there was a flower seller, and he had his stall there, and he was nowhere near on the day. But the thing is that the police still have that area cordoned off.
Yeah.
And when it was Mother's Day, he couldn't sell anything.
Oh, gosh.
Because he couldn't have his pitch. So
No.
there are knock-on effects, real knock-on effects
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
traders.
Yeah, well, and to the shops and to everybody, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think the thing as well that sort of hit me about it, regardless of the fact that it's obviously close to home, was how something that powerful could be administered that easily and none of us know. One of the theories was it was on the door handle of a car that they'd been in. I mean, crikey, how that just sort of made me think, blimey, these chemicals or whatever they are out there. And that I think is as frightening as anything else, isn't it, really?
I mean, we do live pretty close to Porton Down as well, which is the largest research centre. That's warfare, and they will get to the bottom of basically how it was done, and we'll learn about it. I mean, we're taking political action at the moment, and it's.
But that in itself doesn't sort of help you sleep at night, if you like, does it? Because obviously we've rightly or wrongly, political action has been taken. Our feelings as a country, by our political representatives has been made well known. And we are talking about an incredibly powerful country that we are effectively kind of saying, we're not very happy with you. And then you sort of think, where does that go?
Well, very, very true. And I think they're doing a step-by-step approach. And to Russia at the moment, it's probably just an annoyance. I mean, as has been said, until we know exactly what happened, it's very difficult to say with total confidence that Russia was involved from a layman's point of view.
Yeah.
And so we remain to be convinced, and so do the Russians. Yeah. But somebody did something, and as you said, it's just scary that it can happen so close to home.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's. Yeah. I mean, we know certainly in Wiltshire, it is one of the lowest. It has one of the lowest crime rates in the country. If not the lowest crime rate in the country. It's generally a very, very safe county to live in. It's a safe area to live in. So, yeah, it does make you think. It certainly does.
It does.
And as each day goes on and new theories come out, you just sort of think, yeah. And I think the thing for me as well, and this is sort of like a bit of curiosity from the writer's point of view, is you think about how much goes on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. So we're talking about obviously spies, we're talking about things that go on behind political closed doors, and most of the time you don't think about it. You kind of just go about your day-to-day life. But when something like this happens, and obviously stories come out and it starts to get sort of dig deeper, you think, crikey, there's a lot of stuff, that goes on that we just don't know about.
Well, we know what we're allowed to know, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's a decision taken by the government and the civil service as to what we should be allowed to know. And it has been, for the last couple of weeks, scary for the sort of people of Salisbury. And I think that we will find out exactly what's happened, and we have to now be told what's happened.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the interaction between Russia and the UK can reach normality as soon as possible. and they find a way past this. I'm sure they will. I mean, politicians are all about sort of finding a way in which they can live with each other. And if they can live with each other, then so can we. I mean, it's not the British people against the Russian people, and never would be. Well,
no,
not for the last 100 years anyway.
No. Corinda's just joined us. Great to see you, Corinda. What topic for today? We actually haven't had a topic for today. Stephen and I have just been rabbiting on about this, that, and the other. Because that's what we decided to do, and we're actually pretty much out of time now. But if you want to obviously say anything to us, Corinda, then please do. Obviously, it's great to see you here, and I hope you're feeling better. Am I right in saying you've been poorly? Am I right, Stephen? Has Corinda been poorly?
He has, and he is recovering. And I hope two things. I hope he takes a rest over the weekend, and second, he's been betting on the Cheltenham meeting.
Oh dear.
Okay. And for 2 consecutive days, he's had a loss. So, Corinda, I hope you find a winner tomorrow.
Mark's just reminded us we have the Football World Cup there in June. That's Russia, isn't it?
It is, and we know that the royal family won't be going, and none of our members of Parliament will be going either. I just hope
they've said that, have they?
Oh yeah, I just hope the team turns up and we actually get to the quarterfinals at least.
No. We're talking about that's football. We're not talking. Cricket. We stand half a chance. Football, no chance.
Now you say that, but I was born in Burnley, in Lancashire, and Burnley are in the Premier League,
right?
And at the moment, they only have 6 teams ahead of them, and those teams are Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, and one other who I've forgotten, Liverpool, and they are 7th in the league. Now, for a town with a population of 73,000, and buying one player is as much as, well, buying the whole team is as much as Man United will spend on one player. It's quite a feat to actually be 7th in the league and still there with only 8 matches to go. So shout out for my hometown of Burnley, and they are the minnows. They are the David and Goliath. They are David and Goliath, and so the underdog can win sometimes. So I'm still optimistic about what's going to happen in the football. And
Tottenham, are they ahead as well?
Thank you. No, Mark's just mentioned the 6th team. I missed one, and Mark as yes, they're one of the 6 ahead. But I mean, if you take those 6 clubs, they're the millionaires, and Burnley are definitely not millionaires.
Yeah, no, I think that's nice to see. It was a bit like my knowledge of football is exceedingly limited. I don't profess to enjoy football particularly, but I obviously know that when Leicester City won, that was sort of like the underdog story, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So, yeah. So it is nice to see that. Yeah, they're not doing so well.
Right. And no. I mean, every football club deserves the right to be in the Premiership. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to mention any names. I mean, it's a very competitive league, and at one point it looked like we would actually overtake Arsenal and play in Europe next year. But I don't think that's going to happen now. But go Burnley.
Well done, Burnley. I will keep an eye on them now that I know that. Oh dear. Right. Well, we are out of time.
Okay.
You go and get your fish and chips and do all your all the exciting things you've got to do for the evening. I need to go and do whatever exciting things I've got planned. And so I'll be seeing you hopefully one of the networking meetings. Will I? Are you coming to one soon?
I may well. Yeah, probably, quite possibly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully see you soon. Anyway. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for your questions. It's great as ever to have you along. And say if you're watching on replay, thanks for watching. It's been a good laugh as it always is. And I want to obviously say thanks to Stephen for giving up his evening to come and chat to me. He is the man responsible for me doing this every week. So if you want to, you know, sort of throw a few arrows his way, feel free. But no, it's been a good journey, and I continue to enjoy it. So thank you for that, Stephen.
Brilliant. And I enjoy watching the shows that you do, and I wish you every success in the run up to August. And
yes,
yeah,
well, book 2 will be out hopefully next month. So yeah, we're steaming ahead.
Excellent.
Oh, cheers, David.
Cheers, David. Good night.
All right.
Good night,
See
Canada.
you again soon. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.